Genesis. They're probably the best progressive rock band of all time, with loads of albums and even more songs. So how easy is it to pick the top 10 Genesis songs? Well, I've attempted it today. I'm sure it's going to be controversial. I'm sure there's a lot of you that will disagree with it, but I'm hoping we'll find some hidden gems in there that you also agree with me on. Let's get ready to prog rock. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to be doing a top 10 of Genesis. This is my personal top 10 of my favourite Genesis songs. Now, I did a little while ago a Genesis album ranking, and I got quite a lot of comments from it. A lot of people were saying, why is Abacab so high? That was the main one, actually. There was a lot of people that didn't show much love for their sort of 80s Genesis stuff. So what I thought was that let's see if I can help path the way to a little bit of harmony in terms of Genesis fans, and see if my top 10 Genesis songs match yours. Now, these songs I've picked across the whole spectrum of all their albums, so right up to the sort of the latest album to their earliest stuff, and I think there's a good mixture, really. A lot of people may say I stopped listening to Genesis after Peter Gabriel left, and then there'll be others that say, well, I tailed on but I stopped after Steve Hackett left, and there'll be others that say, well, actually I only got into Genesis in the early 80s, and so all I know is the 80s stuff. So here is my top 10 Genesis songs in no particular order, and I'm interested to know what your top 10 are. It's quite a difficult list to do. I wrote them all down quickly, so I wouldn't overthink it too much. And I got about 14 or 15 straight away, so I had to knock a few back. But this, to me, is my top 10 Genesis songs. Right, okay. The first one, which I think should be on everyone's list, has to be Supper's Ready. I mean, what is it, 23 minutes? If you like prog rock, and you like your long epic songs, Supper's Ready is just the best of those sort of songs. Lots of different parts, lots of different changes in it. A great guitar solo right at the end, I think, is really great by Steve Hackett. And it's just everything you want in a prog rock epic. And to me, it's probably my favourite song by Genesis. From Foxtrot, which is my, if you look at my ranking, is my number one Genesis album. So the first song, Supper's Ready. Number 2, Dance of the Moonlit Night. For me, this is a tremendous track from a very good album, Selling England by the Pound. Now, a lot of people sort of said, why is that not in your top? Why is that not your second or third best album? And to me, this song is really good, but I don't think the other songs quite are as good as it. But Dance the Moonlight Night, again, Steve Hackett, his guitar playing's all over it. I just love the vocals. I love the melodies in it. It's just a really beautiful song. And I think it's worthy of being in my top 10. So it's a great song, Dance of the Moonlit Night. Number 3, now we're going into Trick of the Tail now with Entangled. Again, I feel there's a theme running through these songs, but Steve Hackett's sort of acoustic guitar playing on this is really, really great. It's quite a slow melodic song. It's quite relaxing, but it's really beautiful. It's my favourite song off that album, and I just think it's a really great track. Entangled, then, one of my favourites. Okay, number 4. Now we're getting into a bit more newer stuff with that controversial album Abacab that nobody seems to like. But hopefully, if you don't like it, you do like the odd song from it. And my favourite song from this is Keep It Dark. It's quite different. Yes, it's of its time. You can't really compare this with their sort of 70s Genesis stuff. But it's, what I like about it, it sort of builds and builds and builds. And in each of the verses that it builds into, Phil Collins' vocals get higher and higher and higher, and I just really love that. I think it's a really, really nice, real beautiful sort of showcase of Phil's vocals. And I think he's really starting to, by this sort of point, he's really becoming his own man. He's He's not a Peter Gabriel sort of copyist anymore. He's really find his own voice, and I think his vocals on this song are really good. So I'm putting Keep It Dark in there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5 in my list is one that again doesn't get much love. I don't think I've ever seen been on any set list to play live. But this is from the Duke album. And this is Haze. Again, it's quite a beautiful song, and it's all about Phil Collins singing. But again, I mean, Tony Banks creates some real great atmosphere on the keyboards on this song, and it builds and builds and builds. I really do love it. Haze. If you haven't heard that song or you're unfamiliar with it, check it out on the Duke album. Really good. Let's go back a few albums now with number 6, Burning Rope. This to me is the best song from and Then There Were Three. Again, Tony Banks wrote this song, a real sort of romantic type of whimsical sort of song, but it's definitely the strongest song with real strong melodies from this album. I do think with a lot of these songs from And Then There Were Three, how better they would be with a bit more upfront guitar, because the keyboards just overwhelm it. And this song that needs a little bit more breathe, it's quite a sort of a longish sort of song. It would be better with a little bit more sort of standout guitar playing in it, but it's a real great song. Burning Rope from And Then There Were Three. Check it out. What we have now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7. We're going really into the new stuff now, and this is from We Cant Dance. Now, this again is an album very commercial. Their height of their powers was a follow-up to obviously Invisible Touch, but there's quite a few longer songs on it, and one of the longer songs that I like the best is Dreaming While You Sleep. Yes, there's a lot of stuff. There's some nice little big guitar parts on it, and there's also a real sort of signature drum sound on it. It builds up and then you get that big drum feel, almost like In the Air Tonight a little bit, replicating that. And it's just a really good song. Dreaming While You Sleep. I know they have played it live. I've heard the live version. It all sounds good as well. All about the drumming, but it's also one of those sort of tracks that you can easily sort of miss because it's off the album that everyone thinks is a little bit too poppy, but it's not. There's more long songs on this album than a lot of the albums beforehand. We got this one, we got Fading Lights, we got Driving the Last Spike. But for me, Dreaming While You Sleep is a really great song. Right, now we're going back to Wind and Wuthering with Blood on the Rooftops. I mean, this is a beautiful song. And it's made again by Steve Hackett's sort of acoustic classical guitar playing. Lovely little intro. It's very, very English. It sort of takes you back to the 70s to some extent, with the sort of lyrics involved in it. A great song, and I think, Steve Hackett co-wrote this with Phil Collins. I think it's probably his strongest Genesis song that he's ever written. Blood on the Rooftops, brilliant song. Now we're going to go even earlier stuff, and this is The Musical Box. This is on it's on Nursery Crime, isn't it? Yeah, Nursery Crime. And to me, this is the best song on that album. Brilliant guitar playing, real big solo, real strong, nice epic that opens up the album. Brilliant song, Musical Box. And then the last one of my top 10 picks is another epic, but this is from their album Invisible Touch, and this is Domino. So at this point you look at Invisible Touch and you think, yeah, we've got Land of Confusion, Tonight, we've got the ballads on there, Everything She Does. It's very much pop rock, but Domino is I think it's a 10-minute song in 2 parts, but it's a real great epic. Yes, it's very much sounds of the sort of that era, lots of synths, lots of big sort of drum machines and stuff like that in there. But I think it's probably one of my favourites of their sort of, certainly their modern day epics. A really great track, and I'm putting that as my number 10 in my top 10. So there's my top 10. I wonder if anyone agrees. I mean, I expect there'll be a lot of people that are saying there's nothing from The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway on there. There's not much from their earlier stuff. But I think it's a good sort of mix across the old and new. Just to let you know, there was a few tracks that didn't quite make it. Duchess from Duke is a great track, nearly made that top 10. Home by the Sea, their epic from the Genesis album, and obviously their track the only album that we haven't we didn't get a song from. And then the other one that I would have considered would be Man on the Corner from, again, that album Abacab that no one likes. So I'm interested to know what everyone else's top 10 is. I think it's quite a difficult top 10 to do for a band like Genesis that have got lots of albums covering lots of different, quite distinct eras and different musical sort of styles. But what do you think out there? Should I have included a song from Calling All Stations on there? I don't know. I don't think so. They've got a lot better songs than anything from that album, in my opinion. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. What's your favourite Genesis song? Is it one of those things that it's impossible to say? But I'm interested. You guys out there, you've heard my top 10. Why don't you tell me what your top 10 is? And we can then compare notes. See you in the next video. And don't forget, keep on rocking.